I've got something to tell you. I know it will come as a shock to some, so you may want to sit down for this. Hold a hand of a loved one, hug your support animal, pour yourself something above 60 proof. Okay, ready? Hollywood is dead. Okay, so it might be a bit dramatic to say that Hollywood is dead. And it's not at all original, since it's become a common refrain among media commentators online. But it does manage to draw attention, and it's a useful bit of speechcraft regardless of how hyperbolic you think such claims are. It's also impossible to deny, Hollywood has seen a large number of high-profile failures in terms of movies. The US box office has seen decline for years, during which time ticket prices have risen as have production budgets, feeding a gulf between the number of tickets sold, box office numbers, and actual money made. Then there's the international markets in places like India and China, which for a time inflated Hollywood's international returns, pushing up expectations for what qualified as a blockbuster success. Or on the other side, overseas ticket sales were often depended on to make up for domestic shortcomings. But the situation was greatly impacted by pandemic lockdowns, which closed theaters and ground Hollywood's production to a crawl. And thanks to China's aggressive pursuit of creating their own television and films, desire for Western content cratered. All this leads up to 2022 and 2023, which were only saved by a few notable films. Specifically Barbie, Oppenheimer, and Super Mario Bros. In 2023, and then Top Gun Maverick and Avatar in 2022. Even with these bright spots, the last couple of years have been devastatingly bad for Hollywood.
You can absorb light. I can see it. And Kamala...
Who's Kamala?
Hi. She can turn light into physical matter.
My face. You stole my face.
My mouth drooping? I feel like it's drooping.
Now it's true that $200 million flops get a lot of attention, but we now have some insight on why things aren't any better on the TV side of things. Media tracking company Nielsen has released a report on the most streamed content of 2023, and, spoiler alert, audiences aren't as interested in current shows as they are old ones. First of all, it's interesting to note that Nielsen claims that overall TV watch time has not increased much, but time spent on streaming has. They report across 2023, in the US alone, audiences streamed 21 million years worth of video, which represents an increase from 2022, where 17 million years of content was streamed. Now that's a lot of time, and a lot of streaming. But what shows were people watching? It may surprise you to learn that USA Network's original legal drama, Suits, spent 12 weeks at the top and became the most streamed series of the year, racking up 57.7 billion watch minutes. Others on the list include Bluey, NCIS, Grey's Anatomy, CoComelon, The Big Bang Theory, Gilmore Girls, Friends, Heartland, and Supernatural to round out the top 10. Now, of course, some of these shows are still running, Bluey, NCIS, and Grey's Anatomy, and there's no additional information to know whether the majority of episodes were older or more recent, but several of these shows ended their runs years ago. The situation becomes even clearer when you look at the charts for original content. Apple Plus's original Ted Lasso wrapped its final season last year, and came in first place with 16.9 billion minutes viewed. That's less than the 10th place syndicated finisher Supernatural, which racked up 22.8 billion minutes viewed. So what's going on here? The press has been quick to blame the actor and writer strikes, which effectively shut down Hollywood for 6 months last year, from May until November. But it's deceptive to blame strikes when several original shows, including Ted Lasso, Night Agent, Jack Ryan, and The Mandalorian, all had episodes that ran during the strikes, and none of them could come close to matching interest in shows that ended in 2019. Now I have to stop and offer a caveat here, because there is a factor that affects why some of these shows got more watch time than others. See, Suits has 141 episodes, NCIS has 443 episodes, while shows like Ted Lasso has 34, Jack Ryan 30, The Mandalorian 27. We also have to consider that Ted Lasso is a 30-minute comedy while Suits is a 1-hour drama. These are not one-to-one comparisons, and there are logical reasons why one show logs more watch minutes than another. Even with this understanding, there's a practical effects that numbers like this have. Nielsen notes that shift among big studios to open their libraries to license out content instead of keeping it in-house, because it's more profitable to do so. Taken together, it's easy to see how Nielsen's data plays into a larger paradigm shift that seems to be occurring in entertainment. And it may have an impact on physical media as well, which will be the subject of a later video I'm working on. While not the final word, it does give us an idea of what Americans are watching, and also plays into a larger trend of people preferring older pieces of media to newer ones. So why might this be? There are likely many factors here, but perhaps we can sum it up by saying, older media is just more fun. The characters, the stories, the comedy, it's all much more engaging and entertaining. I grew up in the 90s, and to me that was kind of the golden age of media. Not all of it was good, not in an objective sense anyway, but I'll take a cheesy 90s action film like Con Air over Ant-Man and the Wasp: Quantumania any day. I'll sit back and binge Home Improvement or Deep Space Nine over any current sitcom or Trek show, and I'll play the Tomb Raider remasters over and over before I go back to Shadow of the Tomb Raider. And that's because the bulk of movies, television shows, and video games that used to be released had one basic purpose: to entertain the audience. Since then, as we know, the entire entertainment industry has been turned from this one overriding principle and now has other priorities. In some cases, it's a social political agenda that's taken dominance, as indicated by the checklist that recently leaked out of Disney that shows how they approach the creative process. Then there's the updated criteria the Academy of Motion Picture Arts has been using to judge Oscar worthiness. Much of this has little to do with artistic merits of the films themselves. Then, perhaps on the other side of the spectrum, you have studios too afraid to say anything, of offending anyone, that they go out of their way to create content that is plain and sterile as possible. Projects that feel as if they were made by committee, where anything possibly contentious was stripped away. There are other factors here for sure, one of which is the newest batch of writers in Hollywood just aren't as strong as older writers. Young people who have grown up in a different world, free from pressures and problems that past generations faced. They're hired straight out of college and don't have enough life experience or maturity to draw on. They have nothing to say, and so their writing is likewise shallow, vapid, and often laced with a toxic political worldview that was drilled into them by a corrupt education system. They've rejected classic storytelling archetypes and standards to pursue new ones that haven't held up the same way. Now, this isn't to suggest that media from the past didn't also have its problems. Number 4 on Nielsen's chart, Grey's Anatomy, is certainly known for mixing progressive politics with its medical drama. But what the shows on the list do demonstrate are strong writing and acting, working alongside competent creative teams that know how to tell compelling stories. And yet, despite all this evidence, Hollywood isn't changing course. Driven by modern politics and ESG scores, Hollywood is not interested in curating content for their audience anymore. Instead, they've decided to try to curate an audience for their content, believing if they hold this course long enough, the rest of us will eventually give in and join them. And this, more than anything else, is why Hollywood is failing. It's why modern Hollywood is dead. Now, it will take some time for the money and resources to dry up and entropy to settle in. And what lies on the other side of this, I don't know. There are plenty of predictions and black pill takes out there, but covering those will be for another time. And remember, all of this is just one rebel's opinion. If you have thoughts on the matter, let me know in the comments below. Like the video, make sure you're subscribed, and turn on notifications so you'll get all the latest updates on Rebel Normal.